So welcome everyone. We be upstanding for the opening prayer. Almighty God, we ask that you be present at this meeting to assist us in our service to the community through local government. We pray that our decisions will be wise and taken with goodwill and clear conscience. Amen. Item 2, Councillor and Officer presence at the meeting. We'll note we have Councillor Dick Shea coming in virtually and loud and clear. Apologies and granting of leave. Don't have anything. Disclosures of conflict of interest for. No disclosures or conflicts. Item number 5 is election of a mayor. So I'll hand over to the CEO. I'll vacate the chair and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Councillors, item 5 and 5.1, term of office of the mayor. It is a requirement under section 26 of the Act that before the election of the mayor, council determine by resolution whether the mayor is to be elected for a 1-year or 2-year term. May I please have a motion on the term of the office of mayor? Councillor Scales.
Thanks, Madam CEO. I'd like to move that the mayoral term be 1 year.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Anderson. Councillor Scales, do you wish to speak to your motion?
That's fine, thanks, Madam
Councillor
CEO.
Anderson, do you wish to speak? Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak against the motion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against, carried. Item 5.2, election of the mayor. So, councillors, the role of mayor is defined in section 18 of the Local Government Act 2020, and in your papers we have listed the section 18. The role of the mayor is to chair council meetings and to be the principal spokesperson for the council and lead engagement with the municipal community on the development of the council plan, and report to the municipal community at least once each year on the implementation of the council plan, and promote behaviour amongst councillors that meets the standards of conduct set out in the Councillor Code of Conduct, and assist councillors to understand their role and take a leadership role in ensuring the regular review of the performance of the CEO, and provide advice to the CEO when the CEO is setting the agenda for council meetings, and perform civic and ceremonial duties on behalf of the council. And the mayor is not eligible to be elected to the office of deputy mayor. I now invite nominations for the office of mayor. Councillor Wortman.
Madam CEO, Madam Chair. I'd like to nominate Councillor Whitehead.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Dick Shea. Councillor Whitehead, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Councillors, are there any further nominations? As there are no further nominations, it is my pleasure to declare Councillor Whitehead duly elected to the office of mayor. Congratulations, Councillor Whitehead. And I now invite you to take the chair and address the council as the outgoing and incoming mayor.
Oh, very good. So I'd like to start by thanking all the other councillors for their commitment to Cowong Shire over the last 12 months. Also, all staff. I think we've definitely been through some tough times, and it's still working very hard to come out the other side. Every time we think we're getting our head above water, something else seems to happen. So it's been a really challenging time for council, and I'd especially like to thank the staff for all their efforts over the last 12 months in some very trying times. To move on from that, I think we have some really exciting times in the next 12 months. There's some really great projects. I know our capital works budget's very high, and but as soon as the weather dries up, we've got a lot of projects that are ready to go, and so I'm really excited to see some of those get completed and start ticking off. Still working through recovery from bushfire, and also more recently some flooding damage that's happened across the Shire. So we've still got staff in recovery role and doing some great work. We understand that recovery's a different journey for a lot of different people, is over a different time frame, and we try and be mindful of that with the recovery work that we're doing and the process that's happening. But in the next 12 months or so, we'll be seeing most of the recovery stuff wind up. So, you know, I'm excited to see where that gets us over the next 12 months as well. And, you know, I think really we're probably still very lucky to live where we do. At times it may not feel that way when we have bushfires and floods, but I was probably a little moved at a meeting that I went to yesterday afternoon with recovery committees from right across the Shire, and the feeling that it was actually time to think about how we could support communities that have been flood affected. So the recovery journey's really moved quite a lot from where we've been over the last 2 years to a position where people think now about how we can actually support others that are doing it a little bit tougher than us. So it was a really, for me anyway, quite powerful that, you know, we've moved that far that we can actually be looking at what we can do for other communities. So again, thank you very much for the honour of being mayor again for 12 months, and I look forward to the next 12 months and what council can achieve. Thank you. So we move on to 6, election of deputy mayor. Again, we've got the CEO down.
Oh, you may wish to take this as read, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. So, office and term of the deputy mayor. Would someone like to move a motion? Councillor Scales.
I just said lapse. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that the deputy mayor term be 1 year.
Thank you, Councillor Scales. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Wortman. Is anyone opposed to that motion? So if I could ask everyone in favour? Thank you. Motion passed. So we have a 1 year term, which makes sense to run in line with the mayoral term, I'm sure, as well. So election of deputy mayor. So the recommendation that council elect a councillor to the office of deputy mayor. Do we have any nominated? Councillor Scales.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to nominate Councillor Wortman.
Thanks, Councillor Scales. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Dick Chay. Do you accept that nomination?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Wortman. Do we have any other nominations for deputy? Deputy Mayor. No further nominations, then I declare Councillor Waltman duly elected as Deputy Mayor. Well done, Councillor Waltman. So that's elections done. Confirmation of minutes from our ordinary council meeting held on the 26th of October and our special council meeting held on the 17th of November. Would someone like to move the recommendation, the motion? Councillor Waltman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that the recommendation as presented.
Thanks, Councillor Waltman. A seconder? Councillor Anderson. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. Petitions and joint letters. No. Public question time. Our CEO, I believe we might have some public questions.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. We actually have two submissions for public question time today. We've received a submission from Dr. Sean Mulcahy from the Rainbow Local Government Group. The questions are listed in the agenda, but I'll just read through those. 1, will Council fly the rainbow flag on 17 May 2023 to mark the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Intersex Discrimination and Transphobia, subject to the installation of new flagpoles? And 2, will Council participate in next year's Border Pride event? You might like to consider that first, and then I can speak to the other submission.
Yes, thanks. Does anyone have any discussion that we would like, or would someone like to move a motion? Councillor Anderson.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to move, could we possibly meet with the Rainbow Group in the future and to discuss further?
Thanks, Councillor Anderson. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Scales. Is anyone opposed to that motion? All in favour? Carried. Thank you. So we'll organise a meeting to be held. Oops, sorry. There's another question.
That's right. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, we've received correspondence from Mr. Paul O'Reilly in relation to a planning matter, and officers are just seeking some further clarification from Mr. O'Reilly in relation to the questions raised. So at this stage, we think it's appropriate not to speak to the questions, but get some more information and bring that back to Council as soon as possible at the next possible meeting.
Thank you. Would someone like to, Councillor Waltman?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that that is noted. That information. Sorry.
Thanks, Councillor Waltman. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Anderson. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. Thank you. Great to have some public questions. Informal meeting of councillors. Someone like to move a motion that the information be noted? Councillor Waltman.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that the information be noted.
Thanks, Councillor Waltman. A seconder? Councillor Anderson. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. (11) Appointment to committees and boards, and I'll call on our CEO.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, we've provided you with a list of committees that we went through last year and the representatives for each of those committees. Before you get to the point of moving a motion, I just wanted to note that AXIM hasn't been in operation for a little while now. I'm suggesting that that be removed from the schedule. The Lake Hume Land and On Water Management Community Reference Group, we've been advised that that is no longer continuing. And also the MAV Professional Reference Group is no longer operating, I believe, looking at Councillor Scales. And also the North East Waste and Resource Recovery Group is no longer in operation. We would also like to add to the list the Australian Local Government Women's Association and remove from the committee list UMBI, but also add Thrive. So perhaps they can be considered as you go through the list.
Thank you very much. Now, do we need some more discussion on those, or someone prepared to move a recommendation on that? Do we need to go through and just any that all are going to be the same, except for
Councillor Watman's
Councillor
motion,
Watman?
perhaps?
Mr. Mayor, just a question, and I'm sorry, I should have raised this earlier. And I see, my question is about Murray Arts. I see it's in one of our reports. Are we a member of Murray Arts still or not?
Yes. Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we are.
Sorry, Councillor Watman, do you mean in terms of having a representative on the board?
Yeah.
So they've changed their structure a
Right.
couple of years back now. So rather than having a representative from each of the councils, I believe they went to a skills-based board.
Yep.
And so that's where things changed and we no longer have a councillor listed as a representative.
Thank you for that.
But we are a member of.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Watman, so I'm in councillors' hands. Do we need to go through each item and everyone understands where we're up to? I'm happy to do that, so that we all understand what we're moving, or is everyone comfortable?
I think quickly just go through the committees and if there's any changes.
So Audit and Risk Committee will be the Mayor and Substitute Councillor Dick Shea. CEO Employment will be all councillors. Corrigan Saleyards will be Councillor Whitehead, which would be me. Riverview Walwell Community Asset Committee, Councillor Dick Shea. External committees, Alliance of Councillors and Shires in the Upper Murray, we have
Been deleted.
deleted. Corrigan Cemetery Trust is all councillors. Emergency Management Committee, MAV, Councillor Waltman. Golden Murray Climate Alliance, Councillor Dick Shea. Hume Region Local Government Network, Mayor. Lake Hume Land on Water Management Community Reference Group has been removed. Municipal Association of Victoria, Councillor Scales, Substitute Councillor Dick Shea. MAV Professional Reference Group's been removed. Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee,
No longer.
It's not, yeah.
removed.
Yeah.
Municipal Fire Management Planning Committee. We decided we were going to, that's
Continue.
continued, so that would be myself and Substitute Councillor Waltman. Murray Darling Association, Councillor Waltman, Substitute Councillor Anderson. North East Waste and Resource Recovery Group has been removed. Rural Councils Victoria, Mayor. Roadside North East,
Right.
Road Safe North East. Councillor Scales, Substitute Councillor Dick Shea. Towering Alliance, the Mayor and Substitute Councillor Anderson. Yeah. And Towering Shire Plantations Committee, Councillor Whitehead.
We've added in there the Australian Local Government Women's Association.
And Councillor Anderson. Yes.
Yes.
Councillor Anderson down beside that one. Dartmouth Progress Association. Councillor Scales. We have a substitute was Councillor Anderson. Well, that was Mid Valley Inc. Rightio. So Mid Valley Inc. Councillor Scales, substitute Councillor Anderson. Up Murray Business Incorporated hasn't been running for some time, so we'll remove that. Up Murray Incorporated, Councillor Dick Shea, and substitute myself, and a Thrive committee would be me, Councillor Whitehead. I think that's all of them. Would someone like to move a motion? Councillor Wortman.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that those nominations for the committees be accepted.
Thanks, Councillor Wortman. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Dick Shea. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. Item 12, councillor meeting arrangements. Again, we'll call on our CEO.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Council's governance rules require that the date, time and locations of ordinary council meetings be determined by council. Presented a schedule there of all possible meetings for next year. Stuck with the Wednesdays starting at 10:30 on the fourth Wednesday of the month. But of course that's subject to agreement from the council. So if you'd like to change that or discuss.
Any discussion on that report, councillors? Happy with the way that looks? I only have one question on it, and it's is the 20th of December going to be okay, or have we got too close to Christmas? Is that too early to call?
It's really up to the council if you wanted to have that any earlier.
Well, I was, yeah, just thinking, is it challenging for the staff to probably before Christmas, so it's probably...
Yeah, I think in terms of agenda preparation, the preparation's done some weeks before the actual day of the meeting, and so being the Wednesday before Christmas, Christmas isn't going to fall until the following week, so it's not as if we've broken already for the holidays. But really up to you in terms of your intentions at that end of year period, and whether you're heading away or whatever you're doing.
Well, no, I'm probably happy to leave it there then if that's the case. Councillor Wortman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation as presented.
Thanks, Councillor Wortman. Seconder, Councillor Dick Shea. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. Organisational improvement, 13.1 quarterly budget report. Call on our Director of Corporate and Organisational Development.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So the purpose of the quarterly budget report is to provide a summary of our financial status on a quarterly basis in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2020. As at the 30th of September 2022, our financial position was $6.8 million ahead of budget, and that's due to a range of reasons, including the fact that due to the accounting standards, we've carried forward $5.4 million in grant income from 2021-22 due to multi-year projects and a COVID-19 related delays to capital works projects. We also have had $0.7 million in planned operational expenditure, which hasn't yet been spent, $0.6 million in wages savings due to unfilled positions, and $0.2 million lower than anticipated maintenance expenditure. So the recommendation is that the report be noted.
Thank you very much. Any questions or clarification on that report, councillors? Would someone like to move a motion? Councillor Wortman.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that the report be noted.
Thank you, Councillor Wortman. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Scales. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. Is 13.2 action sheet reports.
You might like to take this one,
We'll
sorry.
just take that one as read. Any questions or clarification? Someone like to move? Motion, councillor Anderson.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that the report be noted.
Thanks, councillor Anderson. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Waltman. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 14, bushfire relief and recovery. 14.1 is our bushfire relief and recovery quarterly update. And I'll call on our Director of Community and Planning.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report is a quarterly report on the activities of the Relief and Recovery, formerly the Relief and Recovery Department that has now come in under the Community Services and Planning team, our Directorate. Because of timing and staff changeovers, it actually includes the month of June as well as July, August and September. So just 4 months, just this one off. Particular highlights for this quarter were really probably the supporting of the delivery of the Corian Spirit event. It was, I know, really well received in the community and very special for many on the night. At the time of writing this reporting, we didn't have confirmation, but we do now that our recovery funding will be extended until the 30th of June 2024. So looking forward to being able to continue to provide the recovery services. Recommendations of the report be noted.
Thank you. Any questions or clarification? Councillor Waltman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. That's very pleasing to hear that funding, because in the report there it says, you know, we're worried that with the reduced funding for agencies, we might not meet the community's needs. So that's terrific.
Any further questions or clarification? Someone like to move motion? Councillor Waltman.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that the report be noted.
Thank you, Councillor Waltman. A seconder, Councillor Dickshay. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. (15.1) Community Service Report. And again, I'll call on our Director of Community and Planning.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is a quarterly report of the Community Services Department, so particularly includes early years, youth services, and also our Telangan Neighbourhood House. And the quarter runs from July to September 30. I particularly wanted to highlight two particular successful events. The first was a series of Introduction to Auslan workshops, which were extremely well attended and wonderful to see some community members really interested in inclusion and learning how to sign Auslan. And the second was the provision of lifeline accidental counsellor training, and that was really around addressing some emerging needs, and obviously there'll be ongoing opportunities to continue to run that program around community members really wanting to support other community members as a result of their concerns around mental health across the municipality. The recommendation is that the report be noted.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or clarifications? Councillor Waltman.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Look, under kindergartens, I see the Department of Education and Training do a quality assessment, and they did Corian, and it's noted that they got an exceeding rating, which I would like to congratulate the director and all our staff, which is fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Waltman. Any further questions or clarification? Someone like to move? Councillor Scales.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Happy to move that the report be noted.
Thanks, Councillor Scales. A seconder. Councillor Anderson. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. Fifteen point 2, Emergency Management Report. Again, our Director of Community and Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is also a quarterly report from 1st of July to 30th of September for the emergency management team. Particularly during the quarter, I wanted to highlight the approval that was sought and received from the Municipal Emergency Management Planning Committee to move forward with a revised municipal emergency management plan and submit that into the regional assurance process, which was really around, modernising the municipal emergency management plan to align to the new legislation. And I also wanted to really highlight the work that I know the staff have been very active with the Department of Jobs, Precincts and Regions and also Agriculture Victoria, particularly around being very proactive around biosecurity risks, and will continue to work through those as those risks might emerge. The recommendations of the report be noted.
Thank you. Any questions or clarification on that report? No? Would someone like to move the motion? Councillor Anderson.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that the report be noted.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. The seconder, Councillor Scales. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 15.3 Recreation, Arts and Culture Report. Again, call on our Director of Community and Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is also a quarterly report for the Recreation, Arts and Culture team, and it runs from 1st of July to the 30th of September 2022. This quarter, I think I just really wanted to call out the quite significant emerging work that's being done around the arts, particularly in relation to the Spray, Skate, Create event, and also the Arts Upper Murray and some of the Historic Society. These are areas that we've long wanted to really grow and see prosper in the municipality, and wonderful with the wonderful opportunity with the Spray, Skate, Create event, where really saw that as a partnership between young people and Arts Upper Murray, which has really broadened out the use of Davis Cottage as well. So I just wanted to highlight the wonderful work of the team and recommend the recommendation is the report be noted.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or clarification? Councillor Dick-Shay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Has there been any progress with discussions with Talondoon Tennis Club and Tennis Victoria?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, specifically, are you requesting in relation to offers of reserve upgrades?
Yeah, sorry about that. In the report, it talks about staff have been working with the Tennis Club and Tennis Victoria to develop a plan for much needed upgrade of the facility. And I just wondered if there was any, what direction that might be looking as far as, seeking a development or upgrades there.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I take the question on notice, but I understand that an agreement is, if not finalised, almost finalised around some potential funding for that to happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Waltman.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just on the Bethania Rec Reserve and a project to look at the geotechnical studies and land capability, we've put in a funding application. Have we heard anything on that front? Or when? Sorry, more to the point. What would be the time when we hear something on that front?
It hasn't, through you, Mr. Mayor. At this stage, my understanding is it hasn't formally been announced. We are under the impression that those who were successful have been advised, and at this point in time, we haven't received any formal advice from the department.
Thank you.
Any further questions or clarification? No. Would like to move motion. Councillor Waltman.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that the report be noted.
Thanks, Councillor Waltman. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Dick-Shay. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 16.1 stock route. Road realignment and construction works. And I'll call on our Director of Infrastructure and Environment.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide information on the assessment of tenders for the construction of a heavy vehicle bypass along the stock route in Corrion, and to seek approval to appoint the recommended contractor. And I'd just like to, you would have seen there's only one tenderer that has put in. I'd like to emphasise that we've followed a very strict tender process with this particular thing, and also followed the procurement policy to the letter. And the recommendation is as presented.
Any questions or clarification on that? Councillor Scales?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Through you to Director. Just wondering, obviously with this one, we've only had one person tender for it. Do we say that this could be something ongoing into the future for some of our other large capital works projects? Understanding how much work is out there, not just in Hallenshire, but across every council at the moment.
Through you, Mr Mayor, yes, I think it is going to be a problem. Yeah, I think that, yeah, that's where we're at. You'll see the next report that's coming has also had a similar outcome, and I believe we've got a number of local contractors that we're trying to use, but they're very stretched, and they're all responding to flood damage as well. So I can foresee that some of our projects will be also delayed because contractors are taken up as flood damage works as a priority.
Thank you. Councillor Wortman?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yes. Look, I see in the report that, yeah, there has been extensive background checks, and Excel Grade and I have done great work in Albury Wodonga, and they've done work for us here in Tallinga. So, yeah, I feel comfortable. Look, it's a very large tender contract, and I'll say it's within budget. My only question is, this stock route project, there is other components to the project. Are we running on budget in the total project?
So through you, Mr Mayor, yes, we are running on budget through the total project.
Yep.
The other components are some land acquisition, which is the main component, and there's an allocation of budget set aside for that outside of this contract.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Director.
Thank you. If there's no further questions, Councillor Dickshay?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just following on from Councillor Wortman's question in relation to land acquisition, does this contract that we're about to award require the acquisition of the land to complete that job?
Through you, Mr Mayor, yes, it will require the completion of the acquisition in one certain section of the stock route.
So we're obviously pretty confident that that's going to occur within the period of the construction.
Yes, the process is well underway. I don't see Excel Grey Bruni starting until after Christmas, and we have the legal processes are in place to process the land acquisition through DELP, through North East Water and one private landholder.
Thank you. So you don't see a risk to awarding the contract, and something falling over with the land acquisition?
At this point in time, there is a small risk, but I'm prepared to take that. The contractor is well aware too that we have to resolve the land acquisition before they can start in those particular sections, but there are other areas of the stock route where they can start construction straight away.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Dickshay. No further questions, clarification? I'd like to move a motion. Councillor Dickshay.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that the recommendation as presented be adopted.
Thanks, Councillor Dickshay. A seconder. Councillor Scales. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. (16.2) Wisers Creek Road upgrade, stage 1 pavement and seal. Again, call on our Director of Infrastructure and Environment.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide information to support the assessment of tender submissions for Section 1 and Section 2 of Wisers Creek Road upgrade works, and to seek approval to appoint the recommended contractor. The recommendation is as presented.
Any questions or clarification on this report? Councillor Dick Shea.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Are there further proposed sections, or is sections 1 and 2 all of it that we would be planning to seal?
Through you, Mr Mayor. The project was originally divided up into 3 sections, the third section being at the end of the road. The first 2 sections have been prioritised to seal given the budget that we have, and anything left will go towards widening the third section to make it safer, to be sealed in a future date.
Thank you.
Further questions? Yes, Councillor Walker, I thought I saw you put your hand up, I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr Mayor. Given the flooding damage in the northeast and Tallangatta construction and maintenance's workload, are we confident that they will be able to deliver on time, or I know they've got a lot of work on.
Through you, Mr Mayor, there's always a risk that some of these projects are going to get pushed back, but my understanding is that they've got a team allocated to that particular thing, and that the flood damage repairs that they're doing will be finished or tidied up before Christmas.
Terrific. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thanks, the Director.
If there's no further questions or clarification, someone like to move a motion? Councillor Wortman.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation as presented.
Thanks, Councillor Wortman. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Scales. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 17.1 Land Use Planning Report. Call on our Director of Community and Planning.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report is a monthly report on the planning permit activities for the Land Use Planning Department. During the month of October, 13 new applications were received. 5 applications were decided to the value of $67,650, and there are currently 47 active permits. The recommendation is the report be noted.
Thank you very much. Any questions or clarification on that report? Councillor Wortman.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just under enforcement, it says planning currently has no cases under investigation. There's no native veg or...
no current ones.
No
so
current.
There are through Mr Mayor, there are native vegetation matters that are still sitting on diversionary orders, but not any live investigations.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Any other questions or clarification? Someone like to move a motion? Councillor Scales.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Happy to move the report be noted.
Thank you, Councillor Scales. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Dick Shea. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 18, environmental sustainability. So it's 18.1's the environmental sustainability report. Call on our Director of Infrastructure and Environment.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report provides information on environmental sustainability activities across the Shire, and they've been focused on the transition of the 4 waste stream and achieving a broader sustainability outcomes across the Shire. And to note that we've been successful in receiving a significant amount of funding from the Department of Justice and Community Safety, $205,000, to undertake some regional assessments for climate change impacts on our infrastructure, which has been a key issue for us with the flood damage and constant rain we've been having.
you. Any questions of clarification on this report? Councillor Wortman.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just on the table of income and expenditure, and there's two notes, 1 and 2. I was just wondering if the director could just explain those notes. If she has to take it on notice, that's fine.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I'd like to take that on notice.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions or clarification? Someone like to move a motion? Councillor Anderson.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the report.
Thanks, Councillor Anderson. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Scales. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 19.1 Economic Development Tourism Report. Call our Director of Community Planning.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report is also a quarterly report of the economic tourism development activities and covers the period of 1 July to the 30th of September. Just particularly wanted to highlight two developments over the course of the quarter and subsequently have both happened. The first is the delivery of the Evolve Battle of the Bands event, which actually happened in Corryong recently, and it was a wonderful success and a lot of good feedback from young people who were part of that event. The second was we had a submission in for a funding application for the Bellbridge Boathouse project. It's now public knowledge that we were successfully awarded that.
Yay.
The recommendation is that the report be noted.
Thank you very much. Any questions or clarification on the report? Councillors? Councillor Wortman.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yes, the boathouse announcement was fantastic. It's a large amount of money. What type of timeframe will it be to develop this plan and the modelling? Yeah.
Through you, Mr Mayor, at this point in time, the agreement expires or needs to be, all the work needs to be finished and then subsequent acquittals by the 30th of June 2023. We're currently in active negotiations with Regional Development Victoria around extension of that timeline.
Yeah, thank you. Just on the Great River Road, I see we've appointed Destination Management Store. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yep. And look, you can take this on notice. I think in the overall project of the Great River Road, was it $600,000 for marketing and?
Through you, Mr Mayor, it was $750,000 for marketing and promotion.
Yep.
But that did include elements of signage and various bits and pieces. So the element that we are doing with DP is really developing up the plan of what the final output would look, and the idea of that was to get a very detailed costing so that we could establish whether there are any opportunities to make some savings or way to do things efficiently, particularly in partnership with Tourism Northeast as well.
Terrific. So what's the envisaged time frame for when will we start the marketing campaign of the Great River Road?
Well,
sorry.
I probably have to take it on notice exactly what the date is, but that actual marketing plan is not complete. It's nearly complete, so I don't probably have a definite timeline at this point in time. Soonish, I would have thought, at least for some elements.
And the Activating Lake Hume project, the final draft has been completed. What's the next stage?
Through you, Mr Mayor. So as we often do with most of our plans, we'll put it out for a broader community consultation now that the plan is nearing completion, and then following feedback, make some adaptations if need be. The consultant's also working through some cost benefit analyses on some specific projects, which we've been just doing in the background. So they will also be part of that final plan as well.
And sorry, Mr Mayor, one last one to the director, sorry. And the director may have to take this on notice. The Middle Mountain Bike Park, it says due to wet weather, a number of milestones have been impacted and resulting in delays. So on-ground works have started, is that?
Through you, Mr Mayor, my understanding is not at this stage. The delays were actually getting some of the consultants to do the final reports to actually submit everything for that work to commence.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Any further questions or clarification? Councillor Dickshay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to comment that this report details a substantial amount of major projects that have been completed or under progress, and I'd just like to congratulate the staff. It's a fantastic effort. I mean, it's set the Shire up for a long-term vision in many different areas, and I think it's very exciting.
Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Councillor Dickshay. Someone like to move a motion? Councillor Dickshay.
I'd like to move that the report be noted.
Thank you, Councillor Dickshay. Seconder, Councillor Wortman. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. (19.2) Economic Development Agriculture Report. Again, calling our Director of Community and Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report is also a quarterly report for the Economic Development Agricultural area, and it covers the time period, the 1st of July to the 30th of September. I particularly wanted to sort of draw your attention to two elements. One is the draft mobile internet communication strategy, which is now out for community consultation and soon to be brought back for hopefully feedback and final adoption. The second is some of the work that's being done with a small working group around really analysing some of the feedback we received during the strategic plan release for agriculture. And we got some really great feedback. It's nice when, although, sometimes you hope you're always perfect and you hit the mark. We got some really good feedback around, how to sort of broaden out some of our elements within that plan. So that plan will be coming to council soon, but it's just been wonderful to have that kind of engagement from producers, and particularly some of their interest around emergency management. I think is really will set us up in the future to have a good advisory committee or board or whatever it may look like to help council with some of those things that significantly affect such a big part of our industry. So the recommendation is that the report be noted.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or clarification on that report? Councillor Wortman.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment. I have totally agree with the Director. Agriculture is such a big part of our Shire, and it's great to get that feedback and it flows on that the community feel as though they're being listened to, which is great. Thank you.
Someone like to move a motion? Councillor Scales.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Happy to move the recommendation as presented.
Thanks, Councillor Scales. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Wortman. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. Item 20, councillor reports. No councillor reports. Urgent business. No urgent business. Committee minutes. 22, there are no committee minutes for consideration. 23, occupational health and safety. So 23.1 is the OHS committee. Take as read. Was there any questions or clarification on that one? Would like to move a motion? Councillor Anderson.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that the unconfirmed occupational health and safety committee minutes be noted.
Thanks, Councillor Anderson. A seconder. Councillor Scales. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. Uh, 24.1 council policies review and adoption. There are no policies for review or adoption this month. 25 is sealing of documents. So we take that one as read. Yeah. Any questions or clarification on 25.1? Councillor Wortman.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. This says that development of land for group accommodation. And it says no greater than 2 accommodation units. That's correct, is it? Yeah.
Through you, Mr Mayor. So, yeah, this is for the creation of multiple accommodation units, and a lot of the requirements are dealing with the existing dwelling and what can and can't be expanded, as well as how some of the wastewater treatment is managed for the new dwellings. And I just wanted to add, it's wonderful. These dwellings are going to be used for tourism. So it's wonderful to see some development in that space.
Excellent.
In terms of the Brinker Peninsula.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thanks, the Director.
Any further questions or clarification? Someone like to move motion? Councillor Wortman.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation as presented.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Anderson. Anyone opposed? All in favour? Carried. 26 confidential. Nothing in that. And so I would thank everyone very much, and that's meeting closed.